By the way, about to get into who that player is that they're now asking for 2 first-rounders, but you guys want to give some quick guesses on what Debo is ranked? Nate, you might already know.
I don't know. Debo's ranked in Madden?
Yes.
Oh.
Madden.
89.
That was my guess.
87.
A little low, man. He had a good season last year.
It is a little low. It is a little low. Get that chip on his shoulder.
I feel like Madden ratings are always a little low.
They're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Always a little
Unless you are Tyreek Hill.
It's very political.
I mean, yeah, the speed, though, like Chris said earlier, I think the speed just like that is, in my opinion, when I'm playing like Madden Ultimate Team or something, you get the speed, you get your guy. I was playing NCAA with my cousin last week. He was just absolutely roasting my corner and would hit a touchdown, and I would move a safety over it and it didn't matter.
No,
So
stop trying to
the
use
speed,
football logic. For
Yeah.
I know.
Does not matter.
Doesn't help.
Doesn't matter.
So when it comes to the player that has been connected to the Kings, maybe not technically, but on this show, that is now worth 2 first rounders, at least according to the Portland Trailblazers, is Jerami Grant. Jovan Buha, who is on the beat for the Lakers, is reporting that the Blazers are seeking 2 first-round picks in any trade involving Jerami Grant. The Lakers have maintained interest in Grant, but they don't currently appear willing to meet Portland's asking price. Jerami Grant, kind of a do-it-all guy, Chris. So now we're talking about a Jerami Grant who you got to pay him that, what is it, 34 mil, whatever he's making. And now the Blazers, maybe part of the thought process that me and you had was that you wouldn't have that high of a price tag because you have to pay Jerami Grant that money. Right. The Blazers are saying, nope, that's not our problem. That's your problem. We think he's worth it. That's why we did initially pay him this money. You're going to have to pay him this money, and you're going to have to come up off of 2 first rounders. Are you now out on Jerami Grant if 2 first rounders is part of the price tag?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was always kind of out on him. I think it is interesting, more so like would you rather, if you're already going to pay 2 first-round picks for him or Kyle Kuzma, I do kind of think that is better value for Jerami Grant, though, if that makes sense. Like, if the price is already going to be 2 first-round picks, I'm much more willing to say, all right, well, I'm already paying that. I might as well get the guy who is the better player or fits the role a little bit better than Kyle Kuzma, who, yes, is on a better contract, but if we're paying 2 second-round picks, I might as well get the better player.
Right.
Get the talent, and then worry about the if there is any question about fit, worry about that later. So it's a bit unsurprising because, again, if Kuzma is going to be worth that, and who knows what Cam Johnson is as well, then I would think that that's not crazy value for him. And 34, I don't like that number, but I think there is a lot of people out there who think that's about right for Jerami Grant. I just don't personally fall under that because I think he's definitely benefited from being on really bad teams and putting up really good numbers on those bad teams.
Yeah, and this is why we go back and forth with Monte McNair and how many moves should he be able to make, and should the Kings go into training camp with this current core, which is what he told Jason Ross, and you don't want him to overpay for stuff. But, when you look around at what the going rate is, let's say they do a Jerami Grant deal and they don't have to come off at anybody, right? So now you would have a starting lineup of De'Aaron Fox, and let's say you have to give up the 2 first rounders and whatever else, you're going to have to do something else to make the money work, right? And it's Kevin Huerter and somebody else to make it work. So now your starting lineup is De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, or Sabonis, and Jerami Grant. How good do you feel about that starting 5? If now we're talking about we're all in. Now we're talking about we need to get to a Western Conference Finals. Do you feel like that could happen?
I think it's about as good as you can do. I mean, I think that's it wouldn't surprise me if that team makes the Western Finals. I think that's definitely an incredibly talented group. It's just a matter of how they all fit together, but you're not going to find many starting 5s that are better than that. And that's not even mentioning Malik coming off the bench.
Right.
It's not mentioning Devin Carter potentially arriving. It's not Keon Ellis, who can definitely contribute at some level. I would think that that's a lot better than just about any other starting five, maybe with the exception of OKC and Minnesota. But you get Jerami Grant in there, I don't see why you wouldn't have the Kings as the third most talented starting five out there. There might be some people who still, are pushing that Dallas train. But to me, I would put the Kings as the third best starting five and maybe even third highest odds to win the West at that point. I mean, I do think that that's about as good as you can do in
You'd
this
have
modern
OKC,
NBA.
Minnesota, and then the Kings.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
If you say it like that, then that's worth it to me.
I think it is. I mean, I think it's worth it. It's just a matter of if you think that's the right move or not. I mean, if you think that's good enough to just be in the chance for it, because again, at that point, if you're trading 2 first-round picks, you don't have those first-round picks, obviously, but what is your next move? If the Kings, if that is only good enough to get you to the Western Conference Finals, and let's say the Kings get swept or get 4-1, well, then you clearly still need to improve. How does that happen? I think that's the question, is if you feel like Jerami Grant still has some room to grow, does the team still have room to grow after that? I don't know. I mean, I think, there is definitely an argument to just get the best players out there and then figure it out. And once it doesn't work, you figure it out again. You're never going to be 100% completely stuck. Obviously, as a year goes by, you then get another draft pick available to you. So there's definitely a lot of push and pull, a lot of pros and cons. And I just feel like I would much rather see where this current group is and then make the adjustment than to just make wholesale changes and then kind of expect, okay, this is it. This is what we're rolling out, and there's not going to be any adjustment. I would rather see what adjustments need to be made, if any, because honestly, right now, with DeMar on the team and no other additions, I think there's a chance the Kings can really surprise people and still be a top 4, top 5 team in the West, even as currently constructed. And I would much rather wait to see if maybe Jerami Grant's value goes down. Maybe Evan Mobley becomes available if we wait just a year. I just think unless you feel like this is 100% the right answer, maybe not 185% sure this is the right answer, I would personally be okay with waiting, because I don't see what the rush would be for the Kings to be a conference finalist team this year. I think it's okay to be a second-round team next year. That's still better than this group has done. So I think I'm more just okay with letting this thing roll out a little bit more naturally.
The only, and I hear what you're saying, but the only thing is, if we learned anything from this past season, it's that nothing is promised,
for
right?
Sure, yeah.
And
nobody thought Dallas was going to be in that situation.
Nobody thought Dallas was going to be in that situation. I mean, some people probably thought the Timberwolves would figure it out.
But not I was on that train.
Not at the beginning. And then you have the Thunder, who we knew the Thunder were going to be good.
Not that good.
And now they get Caruso, and they're really trying to make some things happen. So I would say that I could see somebody saying, and I'm not saying that you'd be against it, I could see somebody saying, well, Chris, we tried to have the second round conversation last year, and they were a 9 seed.
Right.
So this year, to have that conversation again, even though you went out and got DeRozan, I would say you have to basically make the move before you think you have to make the move in this day and age, because if they do, who knows what could happen. Even if they get to the second round, which they currently have, I don't know who's going to be available then. And then at that point, what else could happen in the West? I mean, you just never know.
No, for sure.
You never know. You know what you're looking at right now as far as the West today at 12:09. Yeah. Right? At the end of next season, I mean, it could be in a positive way, but it could also be in a negative way. Definitely. A million other things. And you still you talk about the boogeyman, and I'm not talking about Kendrick Lamar. You still got Wemby. Yeah. You still have Wemby just waiting. Yeah. Just waiting, Chris.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, that makes a lot of sense to me. I just think that I'm just willing, and you know what? It is just, different people are more patient than others. I'm not saying I'm better than you because I'm willing to wait. Right. It's just like, Dave, when Whitey had us all on, when he had the solo show for that day, and he said, hey, what are your expectations for the Kings? Dave says, I'm championship or bust, and that's it. And so the Daves of the world, I definitely would say, no, make the team as good as possible, because exactly what you said.
Yeah.
What we know right now is there's no definite. Yes, we think OKC is going to be the team to beat, but we didn't think OKC was going to be the team to beat going into the year. So things change so quickly. Why not hop on an opportunity when it's sitting right in front of you, when the window is open, when Wemby isn't here, when, hey, maybe Ja will be one of the best players in the West.
Yeah.
Let's attack now while he's still a little bit down or still trying to figure things out. Makes a ton of sense. It's just really a matter of where you're at in terms of how patient you're willing to be. And I'm not going to tell any Kings fan who's been waiting for 16, 17 years, hey, wait a couple more.
Yeah,
that's when it'll be good.
Right.
100%. If anybody's allowed to say, forget timelines, let's make moves, it's Sacramento Kings fans. So I'm just a little bit more willing to wait because I know how these things typically play out, but that doesn't mean that that's how you should do it. That does not mean it's the best way of doing it, because like we just said with the Warriors, you can plan as far out as you want and you still might never win.
Yeah.
So why not attack while you can?
So essentially, you're saying you don't necessarily mind the Jerami. If they were to be in on Jerami Grant, you don't think they need to do anything, but you also wouldn't be upset if they did go after
100%.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we continue the conversation. Noted Kings hater Kevin O'Connor says, y'all ain't excited enough about one Devin Carter. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play